turned over to y'all. Thank you. Give them a round of applause.
Before we get started, we're gonna do a drawing. We got a $15 Starbucks gift card. If you haven't put your card in here, and no, you can't put it in.
Here you go. That's right. Oh, my cards just fell out. Here you go.
Is that everybody? Yeah. So, like Bob said, I sold a few homes, a while back when I was in real estate. My husband and I'm a native Murfreesboroian, and we lived here until about 2013. We opened the doors of our home, sold everything we owned, and we were being called to the Dominican Republic as missionaries. So we were there for 4.5 years. Came back in 2017, left in January of 2013, got back in July of 2017. And the past 2 years have been hard, really hard. Transition has been hard. Starting over has been hard. Healing has been hard. But we're on the other side of that, and we're so happy about that. Everybody says, "Are you going back in real estate?" I don't know. Right now, I'm a supportive wife to my husband, Maurice. He has a building company, H29 Construction, and now he is doing home inspections as well. So that's where we are. We're back, and we're starting over, and we're excited to help you guys any way that we can. Is there anything else you want me to say? We have 2 kids got to go to college, so. We have one in college in Florida. We're about to taking her down this weekend. She starts back her 2nd year in college in DeLand, Florida, at Stetson University. And then we have another one in New York that we drop off the following weekend. So boom, boom, and we're empty nesters. So good thing we like each other. So we're about to see a lot of each other. So yeah, definitely use this because we have 2 college tuitions.
So, hey, thanks y'all for allowing us to do this morning. I've got some business cards here, and then there's some back there where the food is at too. We started a company a few months ago called Sunshine Home Inspections. I know there are a lot of home inspectors here in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, and what's the difference between them and me? Don't know yet. Haven't been doing this long enough to tell you honestly, being transparent with you. I don't know what I'm better at than them or not as good at with them. Being transparent. Also, I'm an older guy. I'm not internet savvy. My daughter's teaching me. So is my wife. I've been doing inspections for people, and I'm learning that there are ways to make things a whole lot easier for you all, and that's what everybody wants to do. So there are a couple of programs that we're using for the inspections to get those back to you quicker and try to make them interactive and easy for you all, so you can concentrate on what you need to concentrate on, selling houses. So there are 2 inspections that we do now. One is through Report Host, and one is through a program that actually is with the school that I went to. The Report Host program is very interactive, and from what I understand, it only requires 5 or 10 minutes of work on you all's part when you're getting stuff ready for your clients. We have a website, www.sunshinehome, and then she told me
It's
this is too
very
big,
long.
sorry.
I was not part of this job. It's like, here, will you write my home inspection website? I'm like, but it's going on. Now you won't forget it.
You go to that website, you can make an appointment. You can make an appointment by calling Tamara and I, or emailing either one of us.
Yeah.
Try to make that easy for you guys to try to get back with you within the hour to let you know what we can and what we cannot do. I do work on Saturdays for now. I mean, hopefully, 5 years in the future, maybe not, but I don't mind working on Saturdays. I like to work. That's one of the things I found as a builder, people when we were selling with some of our spec homes, they would have an inspector come and inspect, and he would come and inspect. And man, it seems like they wrote down some of the goofiest things that would send people that were gonna buy the house into a panic. And as a builder, you know, the whole Chicken Little thing kind of frustrates me.
And let me interject for a second. He was saying like he doesn't know what he has over maybe another home inspection, but I can see it. He is a builder. He knows what codes are accepted. He knows what's important, what is a structural problem of a home and what is a cosmetic. And he also has the ability to calm nerves for what is something that needs to be addressed and is serious, and what is just something that's minor and can be taken care of very easily, which I think is, as a former real estate agent, there was a lot of like panic happening when sometimes it didn't need to be. So it's a good way of calming the nerves on all of that.
Yeah, for example, sold a house yesterday, a spec house. I mean, sold it last week, but had the inspection on it yesterday, so I'm like, I'm just waiting today, you know, well, like, it angst over an inspection, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, a house is an appreciating asset that does require maintenance. I mean, that's something all of our clients should know, that, you know, it is an appreciating asset, but, you know, you gotta take care of it. You know, for example, when I go do an inspection, and I've been doing it for a few months now, homes that are older than 5 years old, it seems like every house that I'm going into, there seems to be an air conditioning challenge. You do preemptive strike, you know, you should maybe recommend to your clients for $100, you know, get the air conditioner checked, get it maintenance, so that challenge doesn't come forward. But there are a number of things. I mean, I could tell you houses built before 2006, pretty much 90% of them are gonna have this challenge. Houses built between 2005 and 2008 may have a particular challenge with some shingles that are no longer available in the United States right now that offer some challenges back then. So there are some things that you can do prior to when you have a client. But then, you know, I also know the difference between, you know, there's a rail that's kind of shaky and you need some more support underneath your stairs, you know, in the foundation. And usually able to discern and talk to people and talk them through some things. I'm not saying I'm gonna make your deal or break your deal, but I would like to think that we'd be able to calmly work through some things and through some challenges due to an inspection. You know, I have to do the right thing for you, for me, for your client, and do make note of all the challenges that go on with the house. But like I said, and I'll keep reiterating that the house is appreciating an asset that requires maintenance. So any conversations that have, that would be a conversation that would have with one of your clients. So it's kind of what we do. It's, anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
How far are you going? Like,
He's gone to Clarksville, he just charges additional cost the further he is.
okay,
Yeah, go to Clarksville, go to Manchester.
So he's willing to go outside of the Murfreesboro area.
that's fair.
And there's a 100-mile round trip charge, and then I think a 150-mile round trip charge that's explained on the website.
Yes, and you can make an appointment on the website as well.
Are you the only inspector, or do you have other people that work for you?
I am the only inspector. Yes, ma'am.
What's your cost right now?
Houses under 2,500 square feet are 250, and then above 2,500 square feet, they're 250 plus 10 cents a square foot. And then to your point, if it's outside of 50-mile radius of Murfreesboro,
There will be an additional.
it'd be an additional $50 charge, yes.
And how long are your reports that you're providing?
How long are they?
Yeah, let's go average, like page length, like how many pages are you providing?
Well, there's generally 4 to 5 pages, and a lot of it's legal
Right.
jargon that has to be on there. But there's a summary report that's on the front that gets to the
Your
meat.
summaries on the front, not the back.
Yes, sir, that gets to the meat of you know, what's gonna create a challenge.
And as for pages, it depends on how much you find.
Right, dude,
But
I was
it
just saying for
doesn't-
like a house, a typical wear and
Right.
tear, like just.
Yeah. So really, you'll have the summary page and then the pictures and like
And
really kind of talking about it on another page.
what I try to do in the summary is the summary will make note of and have pictures of whatever an immediate challenge is or that's gonna create something. And then throughout the report, there might be a picture and there might be a blurb about something that needs to be fixed or needs to be maintained, or there's not gonna be a deal breaker, but I've made note of it.
Right.
Pretty much the summary will just have the deal breakers on it, if that makes sense.
I have another question. So my preferred home inspector, this is why I use them. When they're finishing up their home inspection, I can bring my client in and they have a laptop and they'll go through all the pictures with my client. It's a lot easier to explain it when you're there than it is on a report. Do you do any of that?
I would highly recommend doing that. I would rather do that because a lot of times it's better eyeball to eyeball.
Right.
I mean, we all know now in this time that we're in, a text or the written word versus actually sitting down with somebody is.
Well, you can also say, you know, I see this in about 90% of the houses, this is not a big
Right.
issue, but I do have it in here, I want you to see this. If it was me buying the house, I wouldn't worry about this, you know, but I want to show you this, whatever it is, you know. So you kind of explain it, kind of give them some encouragement. I think a lot of our newer agents that maybe are not used to selling new construction, maybe get confused and think, well, we don't need a home inspection because you have a warranty coming with the house. But if anything, the opposite of that is true. Did you say anything about what we were talking about yesterday?
What just recently happened?
Yeah.
No,
On the
we
new
have
house,
to,
I'm not mentioning the.
Yeah, we got mentioned the name of the building.
Yeah, it was a big track builder, you know. one of the
okay,
big
yeah, it's
names.
a track builder in Franklin. They're work for a client, they bought the home new construction, apparently that they didn't get an inspection, house is 5 years old. Go under and find there's no support underneath the stairs, so these people end up losing the deal, my client walks away. But now I've been invited to, attend a deposition possibly, because the homeowner that's there, they're the originally homeowners, they're going to sue the people that built their house because they didn't even realize that there was support. Because it looked like there was a fix, but the fix wasn't done anywhere near correctly underneath the stairs, so.
Why would they not have been shown up when they did their inspection on the framing?
Well, we didn't do it. Oh, the framing, I wouldn't show.
And I'll tell you this, as a builder, and no home inspectors, I mean, none of the codes people, they don't go underneath the house. That framing, they'll, actually, they don't even do it then, the building inspector generally comes out and looks at your footer. They come out after you frame the house, so they won't go underneath the house, and then they come out again when the house is done. So, I mean, they'll come in and look at the framing, and they'll look and see if you've got correct support, hangers and all that, but, and that's the crazy thing, I was telling Tamara, it seems like 90% of the challenges that go on with houses are in the crawl space, and nobody wants to go in the crawl space, so, it's kind of ironic. But,
Hard. I love this car.
yeah, it's talking to Bob about this, a little bit about this yesterday too. I'm more than willing too long with the business. If your clients wanted to do like a preemptive kind of inspection in the house, you know, for $250, $300, that's very good peace of mind for them. I just did one out in Arbortown on a pretty large house, and it gave me peace of mind, because they had someone come out and, you know, chicken little, your house is farm, they're gonna be able to sell it.
So, just give me that
it wasn't
envelope
that way.
back, I'll just meet you there.
So,
I feel like we're at the award ceremony and the music's coming on.
No.
Very quickly, do want to let you know that, due to the work that, the mission work that we have done in the Dominican Republic, we still have a nonprofit called H29 Missions. And, my husband has a surf program. Yes, he's a surfer, not from around these parts, clearly.
Oh my
well, there
God.
you go.
He, so he has a surf program. He works with, boys who do not have fathers at home or have fathers that are not engaged that are at home. In a third world village that we lived in Lava Preston, in the Dominican Republic. He still works with them. He just got back from their yearly surf camp. We do that, we raise money throughout the year for the surf camp where he takes the boys, they sleep on the beach, they, pour into them spiritually, emotionally, physically, get them out moving and out of trouble. I still work with a group of ladies there, we make, paper bead jewelry, gift money, that these ladies are business owners, it's like a small co-op, 100% of the proceeds go back to these ladies. And they use that to help support their families, pay for medical care, help build their homes. So that we're still doing work there, we're still visiting several times a year. And the reason that I'm saying that is 10% of all of our home inspections, the 10% of the profit, or the proceeds, or the cost, whatever, goes into our nonprofit to help continue our work there. So know that also, by using this, it's good into a good cause. But, who wants a gift card? Y'all have that ice cream?
Yay, me.
Alright. Here you
Wait,
go.
you got
Not more, is there more? No.
Anybody did not get a card in there that wants one in there?
Did you look?
Joffrey Jones.
Joffrey.
Thank you guys for listening, and, if y'all have any more questions, feel free to call me, I don't know the answers.
Y'all what stage you want, doesn't matter.
And y'all want your.
No, keep them.
Okay, several quick things before we get going. Various scenarios to talk about on issues that came up over the week. Kathy's got to leave early, but Kathy just had a scenario came up that I wanted her to share with you, her experience on this. So if you have a minute, Kathy, tell them about it.
Okay, I had a client that called me yesterday. I sold their house back in March. They're an older couple. They don't fully understand the process of how everything works. And can I say, the company, it is a box company that they went into an open house and signed a contract last week without fully understanding everything. She called me yesterday and she's like, we need you to represent us. We did not write you down. And we didn't think we needed to at the time, but we realized we do need an agent. Well, the same box company, I've already closed 2 houses with them this year. I don't think they're going to turn around and let me add them, to their contract. But they told us to do an email, and then she also put on there, forward it on up. But we're kind of going back and forth. I don't think they're going to add us. But in her contract, it was a model home. The home is 4 years old. And so it's not even on there to where she can or cannot have an inspection. She wasn't aware of that, so she is having a home inspection, but she doesn't say that she can or can't. So she really, they could agree or not agree on that. Also, they were supposed to give her $10,000 towards that. It's not anywhere on her contract. The home is listed as selling as is, but they have agreed to give her a year's builder's warranty. But that is not in the contract. And so that's where we're at right now on exactly what we need to do. And I don't think they're going to add me, but I kind of talked to Bob about it. So we're not sure what she needs to do. She needs to talk to her attorney. But I can't actually be a part of the contract or get involved in it. That's the reason my email has to come through hers with her attachment onto there. So they just didn't fully understand the process until they got in, and then they were like, wait a minute. She's like, I thought if we were having you to look for the house, then we would need to bring you in. But she said, I didn't realize that we need representation the whole process. That's the overall. It was a long day of it.
Moral to the story.
Educate your buyer.
I know, and Kathy is not an inexperienced agent. She knows what she's doing. But sometimes our buyers are what? Liars. They don't do what we expect them to do. We say in our new agent classes and in our contracts classes is be sure to educate your buyers as to how the game is played, right? Because they're going to be out. If they're listing a house with you and they're going to buy a house, they're going to be out and looking at open houses probably. They may not even intend to, but they might drive by some and say, oh, that looks interesting, or I've never seen this subdivision. They go into one of the tract builders, she's calling it a box builder, big box builder. They could just stop in there and then all of a sudden these people can lead them. Now, I'm not saying this is true for all of the tract builders, all the big national builders out there, but they could mislead them into thinking, well, if you don't have an agent, you can get a better deal going through us. Without really saying that, they could lead them to think that, you know. What they don't tell them, of course, is you will have no representation in this. The agent that's on duty at the open house cannot represent you because he or she is working directly for that builder. Okay, so they cannot represent you. So they're going into it blind, particularly if they're old people like me, or I'll mention anybody else. So, it's a lot of times we really think our buyers will know how to play the game. You know, you go buy from me, yeah, I'll go buy from you. But then they get out there and things kind of change. So we've got to educate them a little better. Always recommend giving them a stack of your business cards, several of your business cards. So if they go into an open house, they will say, oh, I'm working with Kathy, here's my agent, you know, or particularly if they're interested in that house, they're really interested in this house, this is my agent, I'll have her contact you. Or would you please contact my agent pertaining to this house and availability of it and this kind of thing. So, and most of y'all who have worked open houses for years, you don't have a problem with that, do you? On your listings, you know, so thank you for letting me know on the front end you have an agent. So I won't be beating my head against the wall thinking I might get both sides for the deal. You know, so Kathy, I think she did everything she could do, but these folks just didn't understand. Unfortunately, when you get involved with these tract builders, some of them are very realtor friendly. Some of them are really not so realtor friendly. So it's hard to tell the difference. So any comments? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll always comment. Hopefully, don't chat Kathy again from last week. But I had this to happen this year that my buyer went in over some townhomes down here on Thompson, and I asked her if she had an agent. The builder was there, and I asked her if she had an agent. She said yes and told me who it was. Oh, I've never heard of her. But if you use my agent, I'll give you a better deal. So he was trying to push me out. It didn't work because obviously I'm in the deal. But I mean, at that point, I had an attitude with the guy. The builder. It was hard not to. Yeah, Lonnie was at the house. That's not bad side. But I tried to be, for them, I tried to just suck it up and be quiet about it. But it looks like I could have something said about that builder, Bob. Is that? No, I mean, that's not ethical to do that.
I don't have a problem with it other than, you know, if somebody in here, that's their third cousin, twice removed, that here should say, don't use John Smith Builders, because he tried to steer these people away from me. And they run to John and say, they're bad mouthing you and myself in the sales meeting, you know. Then John calls me, how come you're doing this? I didn't bad you. So that's kind of what we run into in that scenario. So it's probably on the professional side, keep it anonymous, you know. That's why Kathy didn't ask her not to mention the name of the builders on that. Just what you said.
Don't use false deadlines on your people too.
Sir.
Don't use false deadlines like, oh, you know, if you don't sign this today, we're going to release that lot. Or,
we've got somebody else interested in it right now. You know, that's the old car salesman trick, you know. So the main thing they've got to remember is they have no representation in the transaction. Nobody who is their advocate. Sure, they can go to an attorney and have them look over the contract, but the attorney's not sitting there negotiating with the builder and making sure that the things that need to be done are there. The other thing that we've run into recently, Chase had a situation where the builder offered the buyer, oh yeah, you can pick out the kitchen cabinets, you can do this, you can do that, or whatever. And then after they signed the contract, said, well, we found out the kitchen cabinets already been all over, so you cannot pick those up. Oh yeah, we've already ordered all the brick for our house on this road, or whatever the situation was, you know, where they told them on the front end they'd have all these selections. Now remember, when you use a builder's contract, that contract is weighted toward whom?
The builder.
Exactly. You know, some of it's justified because of the way the builders have been treated over the years, right? And yet by unscrupulous buyers that want to kick them to death on everything that they have. But also, you've got to remember, it's weighted toward that builder, so any
disputes that come up between you and the builder, or the buyer and the builder, if it got down to earnest money or deposit dispute, usually those bigger builders are getting the earnest money deposited into their account, not into a holder's account like the listing company or title company, you know. So it all depends on how it's set up. So if the builder is holding the earnest money, the buyer has very little recourse other than file a lawsuit to get out of the contract, if that's the situation. So, you know, here's one thing else I'll caution Kathy on, is it's illegal for you to interfere with a contract that's in place. So, you know, if you were selling a house to somebody, it would be illegal for somebody else, another realtor, to come in and say, oh, I'll get you out of that deal, you know, you need to get out of that because you can't do that. That's a no-no. Interfering with the contract is a big no-no. So if you have a buyer that's under contract, either listing or purchase and sale agreement, either way, you can't interfere with it. Now, if they ask you for advice or questions, sure, you can give that, but you can't go in and say, I can get you out of that, or this is what you ought to do, because you don't know, and you're not a party to that agreement. Any other comments on that?
I had one, I lost a client last week to a big builder, and they actually, the agent that was on site told them, if you don't bring your agent here, you'll save $10,000, but you do have to use our mortgage company. We'll pay $8,000 of your closing costs, and we'll give you $15,000 upgrade. They said, well, we signed with her, and he said, you need to call her and fire her so you can get this deal today. I didn't do anything.
That's what we run into.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they're gonna, and I like how you just said, Bob, I just said, you know, be very careful. You have no representation. Make sure that the mortgage company isn't inflating their rate and, you know, things like that. And I said, you know, but you know, if I'm not your agent, I can't, you know, anyway. But it was big L. There you go.
Okay. Yes, Lord.
But it happened.
That's the same. You got the extreme, unlawful practices about solicitation, like the egregious things like Amber had talked about. Even I had one that sent a person out to a convenience store buyer of mine and stopped by the office. Well, you work with somebody, yeah, but you sign a buyer's agent agreement, yeah, it was a red, lucky, yeah, well, if you got lucky, we'll get you, the sellers of these convenience stores that you're interested in, at a lower cost. Well, that's an egregious action. But I wanted to tell you, the other side extreme is, it's not only written or verbal violations of that non-solicitation, but it's also, can be, in my mind, the interpretation of ethical breaches is non-verbal. You got an agent who didn't get the listing, that you have 5 agents in the church, one of the 5 get the listing, and then one sees at the checkout line at Walmart, oh, how things going with John, and is it a listing agent, how things going well? And the seller says, oh, no, they're not doing this. What do you mean? Well, we haven't had any showings, we haven't had any offers. And the agent asks, who didn't get the listing, has John done any open houses for you? Well, no. And then the response from the agent is, that tells you what? It's intended possibly, intentionally, to undermine in the minds of the homeowner in the actions of the listing agent, what he is not doing for them, in hopes that maybe that seller will recognize that and maybe have the other friend at church get the listing after John gets fired. So see that, don't let that happen to us. I'm just saying, sometimes you have that kind of a situation happen. So, okay, so,
Thank you, Lord. Any other comments or questions about that scenario?
Fred.
Fred, I'm sorry.
What I've run into with this more than anything else from the tract builder is they're not listing the seller side at 3% commission. They're listing it at only 2%.
That's true.
So,
you know, and they have the right to do that.
oh, I understand,
Because
but
commissions are not regulated, right? They're negotiable. But here's your situation when you take your buyer in there. If you bring them in there and you've looked at it on MLS and you show them the house, but you didn't notice it was a 2% co-op instead of 3%, and you've shown them the house, you've agreed to the 2%. So always remember that. It's your payroll. If they have 1% in there and you agree to it, that's what it is.
And your understanding about me being on contract at 2%.
Well, that's it. We don't have any choice if that's what's listed at. Now, you know, the other deal is, if they buy something that's not listed, that's not an MLS, and they're buying from that builder, now you have the right to negotiate the commission that you're paid. They may not pay you more than what they've stated on the other houses, but there's one that they're building that's not even started yet or whatever. You do have the right there to negotiate a high commission. You don't on something that's in MLS. Okay, remember that. Yes, ma'am.
Speaking of commissions, can anyone explain to me when it says the commission is variable, how does that work?
I was explained that at Code of Ethics class, because if they go in and the seller is like, well, if I get less than this, I want the commissions to be at this percentage. And they're saying, and the variable is, if that listing price is $325, but your buyer's paying, or your seller's paying $10,000, the listing is a variable that they'll pay on the net.
Yes.
Okay, so it means they'll pay on the net.
Yes.
You just have to ask, what does the variable mean on the commission?
You gotta call the agent and ask what their variable is.
Yes.
I have to call and find out.
Yes.
And it would be good to get that in writing by way of an email or something, so you have something in your file.
Okay.
Not just, she said, oh, it's 3%, don't worry about it. Then later on, it's, oh, no, I didn't tell you that, it's 3% if, but you're doing such and such, and they change it. So, you know.
And if you take a listing, clarify that, and suggest in realtor remarks, and in those rare instances where you have a variable like that, that the brokerage commission would be based on contract sale price minus any seller concession.
I have seen that in remarks. and
Well,
that I can
that's
understand.
understandable.
Yeah.
And you always, all you guys, all the newer guys here, remember, when you're selling something as a buyer's agent, and you're asking the seller to pay X number of dollars in buyer's closing costs and prepaids and title insurance, the seller may say, hey, I'm paying that, I'm not getting that, I'm not paying my commission on that part, and the seller wants to change that. That needs to be done before the binding agreement. Because if nothing has changed, whatever the sales price is, including whatever they're paying, is the agreed upon figure that the commission is paid upon. They can't come back after the binding agreement and want to change it. So all of a sudden, if you're the listing agent, your seller says, wait a minute, am I about to pay commissions on that $8,000 that I'm not getting because I'm paying $5,000 in closing plus title insurance? Am I going to have to pay commissions on that? Yes, you are. Well, I shouldn't have to do that. Well, we've already signed the contract. Well, why didn't you tell me? Then you're on the spot, right? For commissions for 6% of whatever that figure is.
On the same point about commissions, I had, one of mine mentioned out, a question from Aaron, that applies to everybody. This is the first time I've actually seen a title company ask, like an agent in this case, on an upcoming, closing, a document that says, it says number one, agent commission form. Now, title companies, do they ever send commission as a result of closings to an agent? No. Their heading is it should be the real estate firm, the brokerage, right? Secondly, it asks for login number for him to disclose that information. And I said, well, don't respond to that, because you've heard about the training we had on wire fraud, and you got First Tennessee Bank, they had a $1.3 million, it was poof, it was gone, with an email, sticky fingers or something, should have known, but bottom line is, we as agents don't want to get involved. We've never had any authority to give tracking numbers or wire transfer to, this email address. We don't want to get involved with that. And I was really shocked. This is the first time I've ever seen it. And case in point, I got it right in my hands. So it does happen. So don't let that happen to you. Just say, hey, any questions about that?
Thank you, Lucky. I'm gonna go ahead and do the sign drawing while I can here.
And guys, make sure whenever you do put it on your compensation agreement, what the net commission is supposed to be, just make sure that it's on there for us to see, and also on your pending input sheet. Don't just put
sales price 325, 3%, because then whenever your check comes in and the documents come in and I'm looking at them, I'm like, well, why are you, $5,000 short? And it's not in there, and then I have to call you, and you're like, oh, well, yeah, so it just makes it easier for us to make sure you document that on the pending input sheet too.
Hey, Mo, come up and do my sign drawing for me.
Don't look.
Hey, Bob.
We
Don't
do a
look.
drawing once a month for the, sign
Unless you're
out there,
getting
put
mine.
your name on it, yes.
Don't look unless it's my card.
In relation to what Bob was telling us before, on the new construction home under contract, we didn't have a home inspection. I wasn't paying attention during the walkthrough. The air conditioning unit was placed this far from the exterior wall, literally about 4 inches from the exterior wall. The home inspector said, that's not right. So we called the manufacturer and I called codes, and sure enough, that's not right. So they are moving it, but just, you can find all kinds of things on new construction, y'all. Make sure you get a home inspection.
The scenario I use all the time is, this wasn't a new house I was selling, this has been 30 years ago. It wasn't a new house I was selling, but it was only a couple of years old, maybe less than a year old. The owners had built it as a custom house, okay, and they were selling it. Of course, so they built a custom, they didn't have a home inspection done on it, custom house, blah, blah, blah. Well, when we did the home inspection, two things that came out that would have easily been taken care of if they'd had an inspector look at it. Number one of the louvers in the ceiling upstairs was never connected to the vent, so it was pumping out cold air on these 90-degree August days into the attic instead of into the bedroom below it. And in the wintertime, it's pumping out hot air into the attic, and the heat in that room was also going up through that vent, could have been easily taken care of. The other one was, under the half bath in the crawl space, the plumber had never connected the drain pipes. It's coming down out of the sink. Here's a drain coming over there for the unit, whatever they do down there. But they never connected them, He probably got a call from his wife, said, get home, you got to cut the grass. So he said, well, I'll fix that tomorrow. He never went back and did it. So those two, fortunately, it was from a drain pipe in a bathroom that was not used that much, so the water situation was not that bad in the crawl space. But however, every time somebody used that sink, it's draining water into the crawl space, which is not cool. So anyway, the home inspection would have caught that. The builder would have had those two subs come back and fix it without any additional cost to the builder, and everybody's been happy, but, it was never caught. So these people have both those items in place. Just two things that stuck in my mind. All right, sign drawing for you guys. We do this once a month. First person gets a choice of whichever side of the sign they want. We'll draw another one here, and the second person gets a choice of the other side. You have to be present to win. So if you're not in here, you're not going to win. Draw me one card there, Mo. Better not be tapped either.
Juanita?
Juanita.
Lori.
Lori.
That's me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you bring more cards in?
I did. There's
If you did not give all of his business cards, we ran out, so he brought some more. So, okay, cool. Libby is still working on an interesting situation, and I asked her if she minded if I shared that with you, and she said no, she didn't. So bring us up to date on from the start how you got involved in all this, Libby, and what's materialized.
Well, I have a family that's been we've been looking for ages, and finally put a contract on house, outbuilding, barn, and 12 acres. It's an older couple. They haven't bought in years, so they don't know the process as of today. During the process, many of you probably have seen Facebook post about this. There was a cemetery involved in the back of the property, but we got that resolved. It's not actually on the property. So that worked out. My buyers did not want a survey because tax records showed 12 acres, MLS showed 12 acres. They were fine with that. They looked at the property, they were fine. They signed the disclaimer form, they signed the, no, I don't want a survey form. The home is contingent on soil testing because they do want to build another house on the property. And it's contingent on home inspection, but that's only two contingencies, it's an as-is property. I did put on my buyer form on line 10 or 9 or wherever it's at, I did reference the tax ID and the tax parcel number, but did not specify tax ID, tax parcel 20 acres. I did not spell that out. The title companies came back later and said, you have to have a survey. You know, we're not gonna do this without a survey. So the sellers agreed to get a survey. It came back this weekend and it only measured 10.85 acres, which we think, and I talked to the county planning people yesterday, that it's just easements and right-of-ways to the cemetery, the ingress, egress, and the easements is all. So we don't think that's gonna be a major issue, but as expected, my buyer said, would this be enough to get us out of the contract if we want out of the contract because we're buying 12 acres? Because I didn't specify in the contract 20 acres, that's really not a reason. As Bob always tells us, and as we've learned in all our classes, you know, it's buyer's responsibility to check square footage of home if they doubt it, get a survey if they doubt the acreage, whatnot. My buyers did not want a survey. Now that they've got one, they're a little on the 10.85 acres, but they can kind of settled out with it. So my recommendation and my new motto, when in doubt, write it out. I mean, if you
I always tell you that in my training classes.
Really?
When in doubt, write it out.
Really, I mean, I've always written on my contracts items that remain at no cost to the buyer. I specify serial numbers and all that stuff. Kitchen, refrigerator, I don't just say kitchen, refrigerator, I identify it. I did not think about putting the 20 acres in the tax, in that descriptive. If you have a doubt about it, you can't write too much, I don't think. So we're okay right now. They're still going forward with contract, and I think this issue has settled somewhat, but it's been like pulling teeth,
So it's the difference between 20?
20 and
No,
10?
12.
Okay.
Okay.
20.
Did I say 20?
Yeah.
I'm
said
sorry.
12.
I'm so sorry.
12.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, I'd be wanting out too, that's 10.
I'm sorry,
How
that
did you get them okay with that? Oh, we don't need that extra.
that was another property we were looking at. No, it was 12 and it measured out 10.8.
Did the price stay the same though?
They gave a reduction in price anyway from MLS, about a 30,000 reduction, and the sellers agreed to it, so they have not requested.
See, I had that happen a couple of years ago, that when we did the survey, we'd opted out of the survey, and then the lender came back and said, we gotta have the survey. So when we did it, it was like about 2 acres off, so we asked for a reduction in the price, and that was fine, but yeah, if you wanna put it in there.
This, I might add a couple things. It's possible, but you can't really rely upon this, that sometimes the lender will deny the loan if it's being financed, the reduction of the acreage, even if it's not specified. However, you don't want to rely upon that. Like I said, advice being, the best advice, I had an agent years ago when I owned Select, did exactly the right thing when he put in tax ID. Remember, we put the line 10 and 9 letters fill in blank, further describe as. He put in the house, 4,000 square feet or larger, on 11 or more acres. And he recommended orally and in writing to his buyer, who was a high-level PhD Homeland Security, who went the cheap route did not take his recommendation, get a survey. He said, now, title insurance is not going to protect you in the event of any boundary line dispute. And he also, the buyer of his, took the chance, the advertisement, use the seller's title company to save money. And he said, lucky now I understand why you always recommend to have people look at good faith estimates of the cost that they do choose this, because the seller's title company representative knew prior to closing that there was not 11 acres. The soon to be divorced owner, one of the owners, divorced, sold off 6 acres before closing, and the seller's title company representative knew that and did not disclose it because of the common location. So therefore, the buyer was not in a position to say, no, I'm not closing because the contracts are very clear. Minimum above. So 3 months after closing, the new buyer then gets, I'll never forget, I was in the office at the time, law enforcement dropped off a subpoena, and this agent, was being sued after, the agent said, hey, Lucky, what do I do with this? I said, let's leave him at this point. I went through the fact finding, found it was done. He said, you really haven't done anything wrong. I said, I think the culpable party is gonna be the seller's title company for not disclosing what they learned, because the buyer didn't have any position. And I did CMA, and I said, there's like $60,000 lost value. And I said, have your buyer seek an attorney. He did, and guess what the attorney did? The attorney said, use the scattergun approach, the shotgun approach, sue everybody. Surprisingly, me as the owner just left, I wasn't enjoying, but the agent who recommended his buyer get an attorney representative, he said, that was a close personal friend of mine, they were suing me as well. I had to, that was an example where E&O insurance does protect the attorneys, but it was dismissed as a frivolous complaint, only because he did the right thing, by disclosing it, but orally in writing. And that's how you can't hold, I couldn't hold the listing agent because they picked off 11 acres on a tax report. They didn't have any reason to question that. So, but the culpable party, they actually had the remedy. Again, the point being, to maybe have a discussion point, strongly recommend if they say, no, I'm not gonna spend money on a survey, clarify orally and document it, because that's the document that really helped cover his tracks to dismiss the legitimate complaint. Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, because that's my issue, potential.
Lucky, thank you. This is so much. I know we're not trying to scare you guys, you know, with all the,
Sure.
with all the intricacies. With all the
I said, just get out of the old house too.
Scattergun.
And, Lizzie, thank you for sharing that with us. You know, it's easy to go through there and not put anything about it having to have 12 acres with it, you know, or not specifying it has to have at least X number. You know, these cash buyers don't want a survey. You know, I'm surprised they want a deed. You know, you know, and you know, pretty much waiving all the stuff. I told her, I said, when you got somebody that's that trusting and that lackadaisical about what they're buying, maybe you ought to do up a separate agreement stating with them, even though they signed the disclaimer form, stating, yes, our agent has advised us to get a survey and has advised us to get an appraisal.
I have
and
drawn
has
one up
advised
since
us
then.
to do so and so, you know, and we choose not to do so, which is their right. But in this case, it came back to bite them, you know, so, yes, ma'am.
I had an issue Friday. I took a client to Woodbury and he wanted the house. We wrote up a contract. He has since, he got the financing, got approved and everything. Yesterday, he called to get the insurance on the home, and they said it was going to be like over $3,000 a year. And we're talking $134,000 house. And so I'm scrambling last night trying to figure out why does a $134,000 house in Woodbury require that, you know, that price of insurance. Well, there is a claim against the house that was just a few months ago. Some car actually hit the house and nobody ever disclosed it. The listing agent, it was on the market when this happened. She said, well, I have all of the documentation where it was repaired. There was 10 bricks, a car veered off, and instead of hitting another car in the back end, they hit the house. You know, I mean, they come off in the yard and kind of hit where the porch is. There's a little porch there. And I'm like, well, why is that not disclosed? I mean, if you're ever in doubt, you disclose, right?
Well, that's what our motto is.
And she said, I said, why would you not disclose that? And she said, I was advised by a broker that I didn't have to disclose that because it's been fixed. And I said, well, you don't understand. When my client calls to get insurance on that house, he's struggling to find insurance. This could blow this deal because it's going to mess him up. He can't afford the payment. So this is possibly gonna be the third blow up on this house because she's had 2 other blow ups on this house.
Where's
And-
the real estate company, Woodbury?
No, it's actually
Right.
Century 21 here in Murfreesboro.
That explains it.
And I asked
Rewind
her.
that, delete that.
Sure.
I asked her, I said, so it was your broker that told you not to disclose this? And she said, well, it wasn't my broker. I said, well, what did your broker say? And she said, well, he doesn't really help us a lot. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I call my broker in the middle of the night and he answers, or they answer. They're there to help me. And I'm like, are you happy at Century? You know, I mean, I'm talking about But I'm just saying that she didn't have any support and she's new also. So, and she said, well, we need to get this deal done before the end of the month because I'm going to another company. And I'm like, really? You didn't disclose this stuff and we're liable to lose this deal and my buyer loves this home. So explain to my buyer, you know, the situation, and she gave me all the information on where it was repaired and everything, but I'm struggling to help this guy get some insurance. And I don't know what to do. And why would something like that?
Insurance companies do.
Well, I've currently got this,
I think she said Farmers was one.
well, Farmers was the one that gave him over $3,000 quote, and then there was a Country Financial or something. I've since Blake Prow, Prow. I spoke with him last night, and he is working on it. He's with like United or I'm not sure what his company.
Tri-Farm Bureau?
He's had a bankruptcy, so they won't accept him.
Alright, are you familiar with what the purchase and sale agreement says about insurability? Have you read that?
I have not.
Shame on you.
Well, I mean, other than.
There's a whole paragraph addressed to insurability on one of those pages on up toward the end of it, after you filled out all the blanks and everything. And one of those pages doesn't have any blanks to fill out that we tend to just gloss over. It has a lot of important language in that. To paraphrase it, it says in there that nobody is guaranteeing the insurability of this home or the cost thereof.
Right.
We have no way of knowing. It's outside of the parameters of the purchase and sale agreement because neither agents, seller, or buyer can certify anything about the insurability until they actually go to an insurance company. You know, a lot of things affect insurance rates, such as credit score.
Right.
Their previous history, all kinds of things. In this case, a car running into the front of the house.
But I don't understand why it goes against her homeowner's policy when it should have been the person that actually hit the house, their auto insurance policy.
Well,
It's just,
That's where flu reports come in.
and that's what it was. It was a flu report.
Discussion point, Mr. Byer, this is what the insurability clause means, says that you have a right, if you are risk averse, here's an option I could suggest, that language like in the event of a pending insurance claim for property damage, seller shall furnish applicable monies to the buyer at or before closing with an adjustment for the deductibles paid. So it flushes out instances like that, or if you use the homeowner insurance addendum, which is available to pull over, and that is the flu report, which says that, the buyer would like to review their unilateral satisfaction that the seller will release the flu report or equivalent. It could be a situation where just a property damage claims history.
My buyer still wants the house. I mean, he does.
Just try a bunch of insurance companies.
That's what I'm trying to do
Because, for
today.
example, I've got State Farm, who I have in the homeowner insurance, their policy years ago, I haven't checked recently, but was that if there's 2 or more claims within a 3-year period, prior to the closing of your buyer's anticipated purchase then they will not even provide homeowner insurance. I would say there's gonna be homeowner insurance company that will take the claim. What happens is, Mr. Barr, are you willing to take the risk that you may find a week or two later after this contract is bound, that double or triple the rate to get insurance when you close? Oh, no, that's not, that would be a problem. Well, what can we do about it? Well, that's when you add, let's go to special stipulations and add a contingency to cover those 2 points. One is the review of the clue point of equivalent, or one is that in the event of a non-disclosure. How many times homeowners have gotten the few homeowners insurance companies that send a $10,000 check intended to replace the roof because of hail damage? And the homeowner says, I'm looking at it, I don't see damage, but I didn't think that, to look at all the granules in their downspout and catch basin, that, yeah, there is damage. And they use the $10,000 not to replace the roof, but they go on vacation.
Right.
And that's another instance where just those discussion points, hey, I want to be your trusted real estate consultant for life, hopefully, and here, special stipulations, these are some protective language and consideration. The more conditions of sale, the less likely your offer may be accepted by the seller in a competing market. However, if you have legitimate issues like this, I would suggest to protect your interests. See that? Any question about that? Because whoever said it, that's another good application of a discussion point for a buyer. Now, a seller has to agree to any of these conditions.
And a good thing is if you have a good working relationship with some of these insurance companies, if you're out there looking for homes and you find one of interest, you can always reach out to that person and ask them.
And they can just pull that clue report immediately.
Based off of the address.
I would have never dreamed, it's such a.
Well, Lori is just like the buyer saying, I want you to write an offer on the house that has the stream and back, the aesthetics, it's really a pastoral setting. I could understand why. An hour and a half after you're preparing an offer and you get through back to paragraph 18, special stipulation, you're tired and you say, well, we could download the flood mapping, it takes a little while.
I did check the flood mapping.
There's no disclosure.
I did check
Let's say it's a property that's exempt from the seller's exempt. It's a bank-owned property or an investor who bought it, and they don't disclose, even though they know they should disclose it. But they hide behind the exemption, and that your buyer is at risk, right? So you say, at this point in time, we can go ahead and download it, or if it's during the daytime, sometimes you call the homeowner insurance company, they'll look it up. Or why do I even ask them in teaching the trees CNA class, when you see AE at the bottom of the first page on the tax record, as a baseline information, AE, Alice Edward, stands for high risk. You can almost guarantee there's going to be flood insurance. Hey, Mr. Buyer, would you want to go forward with this closing, knowing that it might be a $200 per month increase in your payment? Don't rely upon a lender denying your loan approval but you need to have the express language. The language that Bob was alluding to, the insurability paragraph, and also the one that says, surveys are the best means of identifying property lines and these kind of things. It's good language, but there's nothing in their express language that says the buyer has the right to terminate the full return of earnest money in the event of a survey issue or flood requirements. So how about, Mr. Bauer, in the unlikely event subject property is in the flood zone and or FEMA required for flood insurance, the buyer can terminate the full return of earnest money. And that allows you to give some, again, if you ever get a complaint or goes to court, then the brokerage will appreciate that language, that you've done everything to exercise reasonable skill and care, the fiduciary responsibility to your buyer, and then the judge says, well, remember that phrase, buyers are liars?
Yes,
How did that come into
sellers are
place?
too.
Well,
Sellers are
the
too.
judge is told by the
I'm telling
buyer that when this agent judge told me that he was a listed agent, I asked him, I'm not represented by an agent, can you write an offer for me? And I remember that listed agent saying that he would be my advocate for both me as a buyer and the advocate for the seller as a facilitator. And the agent who has documented, I'm working with a real estate professional, definition of facilitator, you can't, not an advocate, judge, I'm not calling my buyer a liar, but ask this buyer who's making a complaint that I can advise him, that I would not be an advocate for him in this proceeding, then the judge says that's your signature. Well, yes, it is. Well, case dismissed. So that's protective things that you can do. Again, don't suffer from paralysis by analysis or get scared. But again, these are just logical, common sense discussion points to document. And definitely, as Bob just pointed out, Gina, use that disclaimer notice and then fully modify, make a notice. You know, in that one lawsuit, the judge went so far as to say, did you go to the point of saying what? The failure of having a survey on boundary line, did you go explain how damaging monetarily it could be with some scenarios? Fortunately, this guy did. If there's less acreage, less value, but you wouldn't think that a judge would require that, right? No. So, any questions?
And also I've seen it in real tracks too, where it's in a floodplain or flood zone, and an agent will put, current, seller is not, doesn't have to pay flood insurance right now, but that doesn't mean that your buyer won't have to pay it, so just be
And
aware
the
of
question
that.
always comes in, if part of the lot is in the flood plain, in the flood zone, how far up on the lot does it extend? How close to the improvements on the lot does it come to? And therefore, will it trigger flood insurance? And remember, FEMA maps change periodically. So 10 years ago, when somebody bought something and it was not, flood insurance was not required, might not be true today. So,
Well,
always check on all
this agent said to me, she said, well, what if we lower the price again? Because they've already lowered it once. And
Yes.
Yes.
I said, well, how much are you willing to lower it? Because this is a lot of money. I mean, in my buyer, and she said, well, let me talk to my clients. She said they have wiggle room. So I don't, maybe I can get it even cheaper for him, but in the same sense, like Becky said, it's not going to help him next year on his insurance. It's only going to help him this year on his insurance.
Well, to help him a
Really,
little
on that
bit.
flood zone thing, and Gina could speak to this, sometimes the properties that are not in a flood zone can really be problematic. And with all the development, and the fact that, as Bob mentioned and others, it takes a while for FEMA maps to change. But previously, with all the development, whatever can change flooding issues, and that's the reason why, what's a good suggestion to the buyer? Well, I'll go ahead and prepare an offer if you're on the spot, but I noticed the neighbor is home next door on the subject property. Sometimes the homeowners are brutally honest. We'll see if there's been any water flow or collection of water, or sometimes in the rural streets, you can't get access to the subject property because the water is above the road a mile away from the subject. So the neighbor said, hey, I wish I'd known that, and this is what happens, and your buyer can make a more intelligent decision. But that's what's recommended too, as a good practice, and get you more referrals down the road.
I have, excuse me, anybody else have questions or comments? Yes, Lindy.
I know you're not an appraiser and don't play one on TV, but if a property has part of the property in AE and the house and lot not, does that affect appraisals? Could it being in the flood zone affect the appraisal value?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Anything that affects value can be in there.
Because I have someone that's gonna be listing a home, probably not till the end of the year, but they had a pre-listing appraisal for their own reasons. And it came in way low, and part of it is AE, but the other part is not, and I'm just wondering if that had a play in it.
It can. It's just like being on an extremely busy road, like West Northfield Boulevard, those houses in Georgetown over there. They're always harder to sell because they're on a very busy road. You know, they don't even have a driveway that comes out onto the road that the address is on, you know. Counter a nice house in a cul-de-sac lot, you know, with trees and stuff in behind it. Does that, sure, all that comes into play with the statute.
Let me make one point too, is don't assume that any part of the property, subject property, that's in a flood zone is gonna require flood insurance, because there is variation. The homeowner insurance carriers may, some I've seen regardless, even if the back creek is 200 feet lower than the subject property is elevated, the topo, some companies will require regardless, even if it's 10 feet of the 10 acres back behind the house, which is way up here, they'll require it, and others will look at it logically and look at the elevation, the whole town would have to be under flood, or in fact, they wouldn't require it. So don't assume it's gonna obligate, again, have those discussion points, and also the best thing to do from a buyer that does have flood insurance, many times if they find out from the current owner who their insurance carrier is, in my experience, more often than not, the rate is cheaper because the insurance carrier already is familiar with that subject property, and sometimes they get a better rate than shopping
Yeah, I
Other
don't think
insurance
they have it
carriers.
right now. I don't think they-
Thank you, Lucky. Becky?
This isn't real estate. Does anybody have anything for a headache? I got one and it's fixing to go into a migraine because I'm getting nauseous. I need something, Pat. Y'all give me a headache this morning, sorry. It's hot.
Well, I guess we need to be winding up the salesman.
Get it.
Becky, that's a first for me right there.
Oh my goodness.
I'm forward fixing to death before, but I've never given them a headache.
Oh, great, so here's one for 1610 a year. Still.
Okay, I've asked Annette to come up and share something that she was showing me this morning, Annette.
Well, I want to bring one more thing about survey first, that I was gonna bring, because this is something that hit me, and it's personal for us. We bought some property out on Panther Creek Road, and we got a survey, had it split, got 2 legal descriptions. Thankfully, we have owner's policy with Stewart. They sold the property beside us and behind us, they done a survey, and they're saying an acre of our land is an acre of their land. And we're like, excuse me? So the 2 surveyors, Holston still did ours, and I don't know who this other guy is. Anyway, they've been arguing now for a month. They've been trying to close this property, can't close it till this is resolved. So I called Stewart and I said, well, you're insured for this amount of acreage in these 2 legal descriptions. I said, what? They're saying that our surveyor was wrong. Well, they'll still fight for us if we go to court. At this point, they think the 2 surveyors and that seller has decided what they're going to do. Then they're going to quit claim at no cost an extra that acre back to us and leave it like it is. But we were getting ready. We already had 2 buyers on our properties. We were getting ready to start pouring footers. So this happened. So we've had to stop doing that. Lost 1 buyer, and we got another buyer still hanging in there. So we did everything we were supposed to do. We have legal description. We had a survey. We had a legal description. It's actually it is considered a neighborhood, a subdivision. Has a name. We had to put a fire hydrant. I mean, we've done a lot of work, lots of money on it. They were going to take an acre out. And it was only a 3.5 acre lot in the beginning. So we had a mess. So anyway, we're still on hold. They said they got it resolved on Friday and they'd have us paperwork yesterday. Hadn't heard a word. So I don't know what's going on with it. So yeah, even though you get all that, it can still, the owner's policy though will be what will protect the Stewart title. If it goes to court, will go fight for us because we bought owner's policy on that property.
And if she did, another alternative, which you hope you wouldn't have to resolve, the buyer and seller agreed to get a 3rd surveyor whenever you have different surveyors, results, and maybe share the cost of it and be bound by the results of the 3rd survey. That's another.
Well, first they were going to try to make us buy the acre from them.
Right.
And it's an estate, several heirs. We bought our piece from one of the 3 of the heirs. These are like cousins. And so we'd already, and by the tax records and the deeds all the way to 1922 shows that this is our property. The fence back there that was the back that our surveyor Wilson marked as our back property line has been there since probably the 1920s, 1930s.
Oh gosh.
And they're saying that that's actually their land, not ours.
So after hearing all this, how many people are ready to retire their license?
Oh, this is even gonna make it better for me.
Let's bring some forms out.
No, this is not liability, this is what we're gonna have to deal with, and.
Hey, Ted, get that little bot down.
We had sold a home some time ago over in Bellhaven, and in the tax record, it has the client's name and our address in the tax records, because, it's messed up. But anyway, so I got a letter to them on our address, from Open Door, for y'all's heard them. Since I knew it was junk mail, I went ahead and opened it, which is probably illegal to open somebody else because it's somebody else's name on it. But
You
it had
just
my
admitted
address
that
on
on camera too.
Well, the other said. Anyway, I wanted to see what it said. And sure enough, it is get an offer on your home in 24 hours. The benefits, basically, if you sign up with them, no obligations, no nothing. But we'll buy your house directly. You don't have to deal with anybody, and your house just don't have to worry about getting it shown. And I mean, it's just all about how wonderful they are. Which y'all have probably dealt with it, but I just want to let you know, our clients are receiving these. And, I had all of my clients that I start working with, I go ahead and I have them make us an offer. And I bring it to my sellers and show it to them. The house I got out on Round Rock, out in, Ridgeside, we did this. Guess what? $44,000 less
Oh my
than what we had it listed for. Now the dollar amount looked good, but they had 18.5% interest or 8.5% is their service fee. Then you pay their buyer's agent 3%, and then your seller has to pay for the title insurance. So if you put all that together, it was $44,000 under. My seller went, so I showed it to my seller, and she said, well, I think I can wait a while. So for $44,000, she goes, now, $4,000 I might have been okay, but $44,000, I don't think. And you see these houses, you're seeing where they're listing them all over, so people are doing this.
Yes.
And going out, and they're losing serious money. Zillow Offers has started up, you're seeing it on TV, it started here in our area on the 7th of this month. It's a very similar program. So I sent, as soon as it opened, I sent my house again over there and got an offer. It was $18,000, so that's not as bad. They asked for 8.3% service fee. There is no buyer's agency fee, so you only have your fee. And they do have to pay the title insurance. They have to use ARC title, which is somewhere over a medical center for the close. Now their closing fee is $250, but they have to pay for the title. The seller does. So it was $18,000 under what we would sell it to somebody else. So
I just posted on Lammy's a example of a net sheet from Open Door. And on the bottom, it shows Open Door service charge, 10.5%, $25,725. It shows it, so on a $245,000 house. So that's good to show your seller too.
Yeah.
Now, on yours, stick with that.
Okay,
Before repairs or after,
so-
because they really have a buy,
Okay.
they're gonna come in.
Now, on this one, they did put $3,400 worth of repairs, and you couldn't take that off. And this house is
I think I
3
got
years
it.
old, I've already had it inspected, there's nothing wrong with this house, nothing needs to be done. I mean, they barely look like they've lived in it. So, yeah, but they wouldn't take that off on Open Door. Now, on Zillow Offers, they only come out after you've started negotiating, before they sign the final dollar, they come out and look. And they said they only do it if there's a major, like a structural or anything over a large amount. They didn't tell me what large amount dollar would be, but they seemed a little bit more reasonable than Open Door. But Zillow Offers, just to let you know, if your client does buy it, now Open Door, they have their own agent, he does the whole state of Tennessee, I don't know where he lives, but anyway, he lists all of their properties, and he's the one that writes the contracts that come to you.
He's out of state.
He's out of state.
He's in Texas.
Somewhere, yeah.
Thanks to the rule that I tried.
Yeah, I
You
know.
worked hard on that too.
The Zillow Offers, when your client's home does sell to them, if it's in Nashville, it's going to Gary Ashton. And if it's in Rutherford County, it's going to George Weeks. I don't know how they got those two contracts, but they did. But anyway, just God wanted me to let you know that your clients are receiving these. They're mailing them out in our tax records, so they're going out to, Bell
I
Mead.
get them once a month.
Well, it's best to
Bell Haven got these.
I live in the Bellhaven area, and I've only lived in my house a year, new construction, and I got one.
Yeah, but this was in Bell Haven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it once a month.
Occasionally, yes, ma'am.
I was in Atlanta and was at, Panda Express, and I saw a guy with an Open Door, and I literally sat down in front of him and I said, I need you to explain everything, how you're doing it. And we had about a 30-minute conversation about Open Door, and he said that their marketing mindset is they're going into specific areas, and this was in Atlanta, but he said in Nashville too, because he has Nashville. And they go into specific areas and they target market just like a farm, and they don't let up for 6 months. And he said then they move to the next target market. And he said in their mindset, and I said, well, you know, you're creeping into my area and things like that. And he said that their mindset when they go into new areas, like Nashville is one of their newer markets, and of course Murfreesboro, and their mindset is they want their name out there more than buying a house at something that they're probably gonna lose on. Because there's a lot of houses that they're losing $20,000, $30,000 by the offers that they're making. And he said that the way that their marketing is set up is they want their name more than making a profit right now. And so like I met, go into a lot of listings and like, let's get it. I don't have any, but anyway, just want to let y'all know that there's millionaires galore behind this company and they're not letting up. So it's either hide from it or just address the beast in the beginning of it.
And what a great business plan. No, we lose 20, 30,000
That's what,
here.
yeah.
They make 30 on the next one, you know, they make 30 on the next one, 20 on it.
Their balance is up.
Yeah, if y'all wanna really get your name out there, you know, start buying houses at 20,000 more than they're worth, you know, and, you know, see how that works out for you.
Another one that's running rampant too is Progress that buys and rents them out. They're not.
Homeline's doing it now too.
Yeah, they're not only calling the realtors when you list a house trying to get you to sell to them, they're also finding the seller's numbers. Because when I listed my house for sale, they called me because I was the realtor. My number was out there, but they also found my husband's phone number somehow and called him. So-
Anybody's number you pay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
they're-
other thing on Zillow, how many of you have confronted the homeowner, you're on a listing appointment, and then immediately the homeowner says, well, Zillow has my house worth here.
Yeah.
And CMA, so you have to be prepared to, that might come up, and see the more realistic. How Zillow gets theirs, information is go back to the original closing date, as I understand it, and then superimpose percentages each year. They have no adjustments like we do on CMA preparation, but be prepared, we have to explain why your CMA prep is recent, you're in the house, making adjustments for whatever can adjust up or down is more accurate typically. So a lot of you did have that same situation, but those newer people who haven't experienced that, be prepared that might come up and how you can explain why Zillow may not be the more accurate expectation in the marketplace. You know, get the cause to look at your CMA, okay?
Yeah, I just received an offer on a text message this weekend. All it says is, Bob, my name is Angela. I'm interested in making an offer on your property at 1253 Windline Drive. Cash, no contingencies. Will you consider selling? Well, that's one of a quadruplex that I have there, you know, one unit in a quadruplex, you know. And how she got my text number, where she's from, if it's a realtor, she did not disclose that. You know, she didn't say what company she is with, or anything. I didn't answer it, I just deleted it, but, you know, it's weird. It's just so weird. Yes, sir.
Would it be possible for maybe Annette and Jeremy or some of us to have some of these? I've got one from clients too, where we might could make a mailer ourselves to send to our databases, kind of Zillow, Open Door, because if they're getting something in the mail from Open Door, I'd like them to get something in the mail from me that says, hey, this is what you're really getting, and so that we can do a little breakdown of costs and everything and mail it out to our databases. Is that something we could?
Is that something that was on the landing page that you just posted? Is that something that could be?
You'll do a draft.
I've got two houses and.
Share it all of
That's
us.
what I'm saying, but just
So are
give
you
them
saying-
a couple of snapshots of, hey, this is the reality versus what you're being.
Boy, it'd be hard to go, just for your neighborhood, it'd be hard to go up against Open Door with their marketing budget and try to.
I'm not talking about a neighborhood, I'm talking about a mailer to our database.
Our
I just
database.
mean that, okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
That
I
way you
just
don't-
wanted to take on the whole corporation.
Well, I'll bring my whole subdivision on.
Shoot, yeah.
He doesn't care what Isaac's database is doing, he cares what his database
Gotcha.
is.
Right, and, you know, if they're gonna get something from the mail from Open Door, I'd like them to get something from me.
The cloud CMA's got one letter that talks about these companies, I've been putting in my deals, but that may be a good letter, form of that type of letter to put with.
I really hate to see Open Door signing a
Okay,
database yard.
Yeah.
good, we'll work on that, Brad. Stay on us about that, okay? All right, anything else on
pertaining to this. I'm missing that. I wanna go back to this one insurability thing that we talked about. It's under paragraph 10 in the purchase and sale agreement under disclaimer. Now remember, you have a paragraph in here that's a disclaimer paragraph. It does not go into the same detail that the disclaimer form goes into that we require on all transactions. If you, for some reason, have gotten by without using a disclaimer form, I don't care if it's a 1 acre lot on Flat Rock Road, you need a disclaimer form in there. Make sure you always have that. But this paragraph says, it is understood and agreed that the real estate firms and the real estate licensee, you representing or assisting the seller and or buyer and their brokers, officially known as brokers, are not parties to this agreement. Have y'all heard me say that before?
Yes.
You're not a party to the agreement. You don't sign the purchase as a purchaser or anything. You're not a party to the agreement. It's agreed that they're not parties to the agreement and do not have or assume liability for the performance or non-performance of the seller or buyer. Anybody with me? Okay. Buyer and seller agree that brokers shall not be responsible for any of the following, including but not limited to those matters which could have been revealed through a survey, flood certification, we'll talk about that, title search. Remember, if your buyer ever asks you, do I need title insurance, what do you say?
Yes.
Or inspection of the property, or the insurability of the property, or cost to insure the property. Okay, so it's right in there. We have no responsibility or liability for the insurability of the property or the cost to insure the property. That's something that due diligence of a buyer should check on the front end before they enter into a binding agreement, unless they put something in the purchase and sale agreement about it's contingent upon the buyer obtaining a cost to insure the property or insurance policy for the property at a cost agreeable to the buyer. You know, if you want to protect them that way or something.
One other thing I mentioned also, it's got the inspection part of it. Don't be confused for newer affiliates in particular, that you might assume that new construction, your buyer is protected by code inspectors, a builder's warranty, certificate of occupancy and so forth, completion, and that protects to such a degree to the buyer that they will find it necessary to have the buyer inspection paid for by themselves. Bottom line, you always still want to recommend that buyer to make that decision on their own, because I've had several examples where those entities have missed things or was not covered, and then lawsuits been filed against the agency and the brokerage for not recommending even on new construction. So again, will all buyers choose to pay extra money for that? Probably not, because they really have a high quality, like a David Masterson, a high quality reputation. I mean, say, no, I fully trust my eyes and see and everything else, I got protection, I don't find it necessary, but let them make a decision not to.
Okay, it goes on to talk about we're not responsible for the condition of the property, inspections or anything that could have been revealed from an inspection and all that. I urge you to get the purchase and sale agreement when you leave there. Read that one paragraph again. There's nothing, it's a lengthy paragraph, but there's nothing in there that you fill out, so sometimes I think we overlook that. Even though we may have read it 3 years ago, we've kind of really forgotten what it says right now. So go back and review that if you would, please. And we need to move on. Jenny, you want to talk about any of this? Briefly. Doc Loop, August 15th, while she's getting together
Okay,
here.
yeah, I got it.
101, okay.
Yeah, this is a fast track class, so any of the newer agents that have not attended the Doc Loop portion of your training, please make sure that you do attend this one. This will be Thursday, August 15th. And then August 21st, I had to move the contract now, what class, from August 29th to August 21st. I had some conflicting scheduling going on that day, so I had to move it to the 21st. So I believe that's a Wednesday. Then Thursday, we're going to do the listing and buyer presentation and database again with Annette. If you missed it or you have not attended it, please come. If you've already been to it and want to come again, because a lot of times you miss things the first time around, please feel free to do so. September 5th is a contracts class again. And then September 19th, Annette's, presentation again in database. Then September 26th, Greg will be doing a Facebook page training. This is how you promote your business page, versus your personal page. I also sent out an email yesterday, in regards to how, how to help boost your business page, from your personal page. So again, remember, please don't be posting houses for sale on your personal page. Make it on your business page, and try to drive your Facebook crowd to your business page. But we'll be going over that on September 26th. And then on October 5th, the agent council got together this past week and talked about whether or not we wanted to do an agent party, or if we wanted it open to agents and their clients, and decided it would probably be best just for agents. So October 5th, we are going to have an Exit Relief Off-Land tailgate party. It is the MTSU versus Marshall game, and I sent out some brief information about it yesterday, but at 11 a.m. everyone will meet at the Greenland parking lot, and then at 12 o'clock we're going to have a barbecue, and I believe 2:30 is the kickoff. So however long football lasts, usually 4 hours, so I don't know. So just, it'll be an all-day event, and we'll get out more information about it the closer it gets to it.
We'll get you more information, but mark your calendars for that. If you think you'd like to attend, we'd like to have a good turnout there. We've done this once before and had a good turnout. Gina forgot one thing that I added on here. August 15th is the MTAR Hall of Fame luncheon. I don't know if we have any inductees into the Hall of Fame luncheon this year, but it's a free lunch. It's an MTAR. Good time to come get together, enjoy a free lunch, see some other agents and some other companies, and network a little with some of them. So. And
then tonight is business after hours, and that is
Ferguson's.
Yeah.
4:30 to 6:30 at Ferguson's on New Salem
What's
Highway.
4:30, 6:30? You can go afterwards.
There,
Yes,
should be a
you
nice
know,
one.
just come whenever you want to.
$10 for members and $20 for future members.
Yeah. So we are a member of the chamber. Whether they'll let you in for $10, I don't know. So
Just wear your name tag. Yeah.
Wear your exit name.
Wear your exit name tag.
You should all have them on anyway, right? Okay. Yes, Annette.
On postcard situation, monthly deal, okay, we've got laser tag on the 24th of this month, that's a Saturday from 10 to 12. Bring your family, bring your kids, your grandkids, whatever, because it doesn't cost us any difference if I have 5 people there, or if we have 50, 60 people there. Kids do have a really good time in there. We had a pretty good crowd last year. We do have a sponsor, the home inspector that was here 2 or 3 weeks ago, Tennessee something or other, I forget. Anyway, he's sponsoring $200 of the $425. So,
Well, I'm sure Mo will be glad to do something if y'all give him some business.
See me later. But anyway, I will need some help, not a lot. It didn't take a whole lot to run that. I mean, we bring a deal of chips and a deal of water and open the door. I mean, and then I check the people in, see who got there and have a car to get in. But it is a good time for a lot of them. Like I said, bring your kids, grandkids, whatever.
Somebody else's kids.
Somebody else, I don't care. Bring people. Because the more people we have there, the better it looks to our clients too. It doesn't matter if it's our kids or something.
Anything else in there?
I need something for September, since we took the tailgate deal that we had on the list to do for our clients in September. I have nothing for September. So I know we've been trying, Becky and I have been trying a few places. I tried the crumb cookie place and they don't do that. I tried the buttermilk pie place. They would do it, but they charge us $4.25 for everyone they did.
I'm trying to get a hold of Beatty Farms. Every time I call, I get the voicemail. Well, their cornfield maize. We thought that might be a good.
I know it'd be a good one, but I don't know if they'll do it
I don't know.
for free or they'll do it for under $3 or $5. But if anybody has any ideas, help me with this, because we need to get postcards out like next week. So So, anyway, we're just had to start working on that Friday. So I've been working on it, went to several places. I was gonna try to go to maybe the Donut Country and see if they do a small coffee and a donut or something. I know they've done that for other, lenders, cause I've gotten some before. So
Yeah.
I'll see if they might just do something for us for September.
Anything personally, or you got the floor?
No.
Okay. Let me go through the sales sheet for the past week. 8 new listings, 1 each for Babette, Bob Elliott, Bob Gomia, Brad, Cortland, Lori, Lucky, and Steve. 28 pendings turned in during the week. 28 pendings led by Bianca with 4. Stephanie with 3. Then we had 5 agents with 2 pendings each. Amber, Bob Elliott, Chip, Denise, Christina Juke, all with 2 pendings. Then 1 pending turned in each for Andy, Becky, Brad, Kathy Hughes, Greg Goff, Lori, Lucky, Max, Michael, Stephen, and Tony, all with pendings turned in. 20 closings last week. And we had Chris Wilson leading the pack with 3 closings, then 4 agents with 2 closings each, Kathy Hughes, Chip, Cortland, and Richard. Then 1 each for Gabby, Jim, Martha, Max, Michael Smith, Steve, Michelle, Stephanie, Cameron, and Tony. Birthdays. 1 big birthday that was not on the list is Mr. Chuck today. I'm not gonna say how old he is, but only 1 more year before he's eligible for Medicare. Chuck, you got something for us?
Yeah, I got this on my 50th birthday, and I've been waiting to use it for when it's really appropriate.
I got the water at home.
Who's saying that song?
Beatles.
I noticed
You young guys,
the ones that.
really good.
I know. I did a whole report about them in elementary school.
I'm 64 is the name of that song, so good, Chuck, that's a good one. Some of us, it's kind of crept up on us pretty quickly when you get older, losing your hair, so, you know. So
I don't think that.
Chuck don't have that problem.
Other birthdays, Friday is Tori. Tori, where are you? What's it? Tori, and then Cameron is on Sunday, so. Cameron, so there he is.
I'm postponing mine. Mine's not till next year. What are you talking about? I'm not mature enough.
Ninja Selling is coming to Murfreesboro. Ninja Selling, Cameron, is coming to Murfreesboro.
That's my birthday present this year.
Bob needs to buy you that.
Oh, Jeremy needs to buy.
I knew you had a plan, Bob.
I know y'all have.
You're gonna start calling me Dad.
You lost us.
I knew I shouldn't say anything before. There's a breakfast at the Five Senses Restaurant, Friday, August 30th, from 9 to 10:30 to talk about Ninja. It's a free breakfast at Five Senses, or there's a free lunch Wednesday, September 4th, 11:30 to 1 at the new steakhouse, Steakhouse 5 on Memphis Center Parkway, kind of there behind Burger Republic, in that area, the fountains. So if you're interested in Ninja, guys, it's an investment in your future. We're going to be talking about several things that are an investment in your future. This is one of the real important ones, in my opinion, Ninja Selling. It's $750, I think, for the program. Is that right? Yeah. Right. I think it's $750, but you get 32 continuing education hours. Did everybody hear me on that? 32 CE hours for attending this. That covers a lot of that. If you go to Ninja training in Fort Collins, you don't get those continuing education hours. But
Yeah.
do it
Yeah,
here.
but it's not the same.
Okay.
So we'll get out more information about that. I urge you to at least go to the breakfast or the luncheon. And we need to get this out to everybody, Gina. And listen to what they have to say. This is a great program, and Amber's been to it, Tabitha, yeah.
I was their
Richard.
chaperone. I had to make sure they got back to their room every night.
Brad and Tim, Bob Elliott, all the agents that you see that have been there, kind of a who's who of agents in this company, so
It's amazing.
it is. Kimberly's been, I can't remember who else. So we'll get more information out on that, but this is a great opportunity to go right here at home to this wonderful program. So I hope you take advantage of it.
And it's worth every single penny, because I know that for years Bob spoke about it, and I never wanted to invest $800. And then one year he's like, Amber, you have to come. And I said, yes, sir, I got the money. And it was the best $800.
The picture's on the
I've ever spent in my
door
career.
up there, her and Tabby.
It was the best $800 I ever spent.
Okay, we'll get more information out on that. The exit momentum is out, if you have not looked at that. Top agent sales volume in Tennessee, number 5 in Tennessee for the period of July. Amber, number 5. And number 6, our assistant, Jeremy.
Good job.
Top agents.
Took me out.
For July, top agents in closed sides, number 6 in Tennessee, Amber, number 7, Jeremy. As far as the companies go, closed sides, we're number 1 in closed sides, number 2 in total volume transactions. They sell higher dollar houses. But we sell more houses. So, the next thing after the the Ninja deal at the MTAR is in October. The next thing's right around the corner is the exit convention. So it might be tough for some of you to go to both, but it's once again an investment. So y'all have signed up for the convention. It's at Opryland Hotel. I urge you to try to go to that if you can. And then don't forget about it. The awards cruise, exit awards cruise, is on next March through the 6th, March 2nd through the 6th of 2020, next March. And you can still sign up for that. Yes, ma'am.
And also, I forgot to mention, sometime in October too, a lot of you guys have come to, some of the training that we've done with, Daniel Staken, and he works closely with the, police department, the fire departments, and he's done a lot of safety training for us. Lucky had him reach back out to me again, and they are gonna come, I'm working with them and coming sometime in October. They're gonna do 2 separate 4-hour training classes, so one would be from 8 to 12, and then another one from 1 to 5 on that same day. They're gonna be using our facility for active, shooter and open house danger training. So, I'll let you guys know once that will be. He is, gonna coordinate it with the, Murfreesboro Police and Fire, and the